books. He had to battle with the eternal snake that was guarding the 42 books of Tehuti under the waters. Now this is the same thing that is the law of our witch doctors. They told the highest that he can go, he learned from the snake of the waters. He stayed there and learned this particular knowledge. The snake of the earth. You see which herbs, when the snake is busy walking on earth here, which herbs is avoiding, which herbs is associating with. You will learn about the mystery of those herbs. This is the knowledge that our ancient people stored in the person of our mothers, in the person of our great mothers. That is why the high laws of the Bantu, it doesn't allow a man to beat a wife, a man to kill a wife. All these things that you find them in Western society, they tell you that the man committed suicide. What was the problem? Stress. They talk about diseases that we don't have words for them in African culture. We don't have a word for stress. I remember the other time, the media asked Jacob Zuma, our president, with such a tight schedule, Mr. Zuma, how do you cope with stress? He said, we don't have a Zulu word for that word stress. So you still get that. You still get that. Even the so-called modern men in the because Zuma is an epitome of a modern South African society. But Zuma is a polygamist. But Zuma is a product of our cultural system. He never went to school. He learned by assimilation. They say Zuma is a man of the people. Because why? He go by the tradition of social interaction with the people. That is where you go. Zuma, he'll go and listen to the people. They say Zuma is a good listener. Now he become a prototype of an African man, the highest that he can go even in this time, without getting himself messed up by those institutions, but having a harsh experiences with the reality of colonialism. Because Zuma spent 10 years in Robben Island. He spent 15 years in exile. So he had experiences of harsh experiences of colonialism of special type, which was the South African form of colonialism, which made him in the position that he is. But what are you going to attribute to Zuma's rise to that? It's purely, entirely African tradition, which many people say, yeah, you never produce any black man of importance. And anytime you go to the West, they say, I by God, he have many women, because they do not understand his tradition. But now, coming back to our own culture again, I say, time scale and everything, 150,000 years at most. This particular homogeneous society. How long did you live as this one homogeneous society? 150,000 years. The longest any empire could be produced on earth can go. This is how I know. And I can verify Anthony Broder's book. He said, in terms of now, he tell about this human chronologies. It took us 7 million years, our process of hominization, evolution, and until we come into, develop into the person that we see. About 200,000 years, we were one homogeneous society on earth. About 50 to 30,000 years, that is when we develop features of ethnicity and we get to be ethnical and all tribal. This is among other scholarly corroboration, without me taking you to Credo Motwa now, who goes by a tradition that is strictly Bantu. And as a high custodian in this particular heritage and tradition, and who is a high Sanusi, which is like a top traditional healer, a top bush doctor, which means to say he is a reliable authority, which he's got nothing to gain when he distort his history, and he's got nothing to gain when he distort his history, and he's got nothing to lose. If he's not going to tell it as it is, he's not going to lose anything except that he's going to lose his credit as a high Sanusi. Now, it is his job. We have different type of storytellers, even among the griots, among the Mandes and the Malis in West Africa. The storytellers, the griots. You have three type of griots among the griots. You have the griots, the other type of griot, they say this one is allowed to talk with both sides of the mouth. It doesn't matter whether he distort facts or what. Now those are griots, even among our culture of healers, we say ngaka kiatsiba, the claimers of knowledge, not necessarily the possessors of knowledge. He heard it from others who said it there. He cannot verify it. Verify. Yeah. Now he does not have a moral binding that bind him with the story. You understand? Because the storytelling is a tradition. You belong to that particular tradition. You have to be born of storytellers. Like I'm telling you now, I'm a polygamist. My father is a polygamist. His father is a polygamist. Now, if I have to tell the personal creed, which we call Siboko, which detail where I come from, who I am, where do we stand in nature and in natural relation, and in particular history, that encompass 5 of my great-grandfathers, and my father and myself to where I am. Then this is what then detail me in terms of if I have to say I know myself, who you are, what is your name, whose son, and whose son's son is he. Now, they have one specific duty. They were traditional healers. They were specialists in 3 areas. They were rainmakers, they were diviners, and they were initiators. They were running the initiation schools in the mountain. That particular transition that transformed a boy into a man. Now, that was their duty.
Right,
now, coming in this particular time was really to try to, it is really coming in that particular tradition just as a custodian. Just learn from them, who learn from others, the furthest it can go. Now, in terms of historicity, academics and scientifics, then I go out, corroborate, learn from elders like Credo Mutwa. Used to learn from elders like Ntate Koka, who passed and established the Kara Institute of Africology, together with Dr. Matule Motseha, who established Kara Heritage Institute, which is about the same thing like Ashra Kwezi, Dr. Bendu is about Kametology, Kamite, but they try to link it to the Bantu. But in this particular aspect, like all other existing societies, the Nubians, the Egyptians, the Kushites, and everybody all agree to the common antiquity of the Bantu. But they always scratch in the surface. They say the land of the south, the sacred land, by the foothill of the mountains of the moon. Or they always pointing it abstractly. But now, the irony is that all these black tribes that you see throughout Africa and outside of Africa, these tribes are the components of the element of the compound, which used to be called the Bantu people, which is still maintained in their language, and which is still maintained when they do refer to themselves. We say, Rebatu, we are Abantu, we are Bantu. So it goes with different ethnical groups throughout Africa. But it is, when you talk of the Bantu now, you're talking about a linguistic community. Now, as a linguistic community, it's a one particular community that is having one common speech. So now, looking at it from this perspective, probably maybe give you a further example is that when we talk about communities, we'll talk about the Jews. The Jews is not a color of skin. That is why you have the white Jews, the Khazars, and the Ashkenaz. Then you have the Arabian Jews, which is like the Yemenites. And you have the African Jews, which is like 4 types of them, like North African Jews, the East African Jews, the Falashas, the South African Jews, which are the Lembas, West African Jews, which is the Igbos that are found among the Nigerians. So it's different type of Jews. So this is a religious community, you know. Now, when you talk of the Bantu, I talk about linguistic community, where you have common characteristics in their syntax, in their morphology, in their language entirely. This is where we say the language is an index to culture. Now, for you to understand the culture of the Bantu as a culture collectively, when it was a culture, it is fragmented in the language of the Bantu tribes. It is in knowing certain common characteristics, which in this regard, most characteristics of them are common because they have their common origin. So they have their common geographical and ethnical origin, philosophical origin. So, yeah, to further elaborate, to move away, then we moving away from the Bantu as a homogeneous society, the originators of a common egalitarian society, what then Karl Marx and others used as a basis of their dialect, historical materialism to build their thesis and talk about the primitive communal society, or the original society, or the first society. Now we're talking about this particular people whose descendants are all over Africa and all over the world. Wherever you find the black people, Oprah, you, me, you know,
them, us,
them,
we,
us,
regardless
all,
of religion.
regardless of religion, because this now supersede an antedate religion,
Man-made.
culture, tradition, tribe. Understand? It is beyond our individual tribe. It is strictly who we are, not what we are. Religion is what you are. Now, who you are is a Bantu, is a Muntu. Now, that is central to all, with everything that is, and that was, and that will ever be. That came from that particular common primogenitor, which is called Muntu. And that is now the account, in terms of a primordial account, to account for ancient origin, to particular where we are. So there's no such thing as a missing link in human origin, like most Western anthropologists. Then they come up with different scholars and say they're trying to construct a missing link. There's no missing link at all. There is a living link. Yeah. Now you need to understand that when we develop ethnicity, we engage in what is called the greatest migration ever on earth. Some will say it's a 2,000 years old migration. Now we migrated to all different directions. To the north, to build Egypt, Meru,